The classified documents are finally surfacing, and what they reveal will shake you to your core. Government agencies have been hiding the truth about our sun for months, but leaked reports now confirm our worst nightmares. The evidence is undeniable. Our star is entering a phase of unprecedented violence that could end civilization as we know it. Solar observatories around the world are detecting activity, levels never seen before in recorded history. The magnetic field lines of the sun are becoming increasingly unstable, creating conditions for catastrophic eruptions. Scientists behind closed doors are calling it the most dangerous period in human history. If you think this is just another doomsday theory, think again. The proof is right in front of us. Subscribe now, because what I'm about to reveal could save your life when the solar apocalypse begins. Comment below if you've noticed anything strange about the sun lately, because the signs are everywhere. If you know where to look, the time for denial is over, and the time for preparation has begun. Deep within the underground bunkers of government facilities, emergency meetings have been taking place for months. The participants aren't politicians or military generals. They're the world's top solar physicists, space weather experts, and disaster preparedness specialists. The documents they've been reviewing, stamped with the highest levels of classification, paint a picture so terrifying that even hardened professionals struggle to comprehend the implications. These aren't theoretical models or distant possibilities. The data shows our sun exhibiting behavior that defies conventional understanding, with magnetic field fluctuations reaching critical thresholds that could trigger what scientists are quietly calling the big one. The leaked portions of these reports, obtained through sources who risked their careers and freedom to warn humanity, reveal that solar activity monitoring stations worldwide have been recording anomalous readings since early 2025. The sun's surface temperature has been fluctuating wildly, creating massive convection currents that generate magnetic field lines of unprecedented complexity. The truth about what's happening to our sun becomes more frightening when you examine the raw data that government agencies have been collecting. Solar observatories equipped with the most advanced technology ever created are witnessing phenomena that shouldn't exist according to current scientific models. The sun's chromosphere is displaying violent eruptions that occur in patterns never before documented, with plasma temperatures reaching levels that suggest the star's internal fusion processes are becoming increasingly unstable. Satellite measurements show that the solar wind, the constant stream of charged particles flowing from the sun, has intensified by over 400% compared to normal levels. This invisible river of destruction is now carrying magnetic field disturbances, so powerful that they're affecting Earth's magnetosphere in ways that make scientists deeply concerned about our planet's natural defenses. The most disturbing aspect of these classified findings is the frequency of X-class solar flares, the most powerful category of solar eruptions. In May 2025 alone, the sun unleashed the strongest solar flare of the year, an X2.7 class eruption that caused radio blackouts across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. But this was just a preview of what's coming. The evidence continues to mount as space weather prediction centers worldwide report that we're approaching what they call a perfect storm scenario. The sun is currently in solar cycle 25, which was initially predicted to be relatively mild compared to previous cycles. However, recent observations have shattered those predictions, revealing that our star is behaving in ways that suggest something fundamental has changed in its core processes. The number of sunspots, dark regions on the sun's surface that indicate areas of intense magnetic activity, has exceeded all projections, with some individual sunspots growing to sizes that dwarf entire planets. These massive magnetic anomalies are like coiled springs of energy, ready to release devastating amounts of radiation and charged particles directly toward Earth. The most concerning development is the appearance of what scientists call magnetic reconnection events occurring at rates never before witnessed. When magnetic field lines on the sun's surface suddenly snap and reconnect, they release energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs exploding simultaneously. What makes this solar Apocalypse scenario, even more terrifying, is how unprepared our modern technological civilization is for such an event. Our entire way of life depends on electrical systems, satellite communications, and digital networks that are incredibly vulnerable to electromagnetic interference from space. When massive solar storms strike Earth, they don't just cause pretty aurora displays. They induce powerful electric currents in metal conductors across the planet's surface. Power transformers, the critical components that regulate electricity distribution, can be permanently damaged by these induced currents, leading to cascading blackouts that could last for months or even years. The 1859 Carrington event, the most powerful geomagnetic storm in recorded history, caused telegraph wires to spark and catch fire, with some operators receiving electric shocks. If a similar event occurred today, the consequences would be catastrophic beyond imagination. Modern electrical grids are far more complex and vulnerable than the simple telegraph systems of the 19th century. The ripple effects of a major solar storm on our technological infrastructure will create a domino effect of destruction that few people truly comprehend. GPS satellites, which we rely on for everything from navigation to financial transactions, would be rendered inoperable by the intense radiation. Air traffic control systems would fail, grounding thousands of flights and stranding millions of passengers. Banking networks, credit card processing, and electronic commerce would shut down, essentially bringing the global economy to a complete standstill. Hospitals depending on electronic life support systems would face life or death situations as backup generators fail under the electromagnetic assault. Water treatment plants and food distribution systems would collapse, leading to shortages that could affect millions of people within days. Cell phone networks, internet service providers, and broadcasting systems would go dark, leaving entire populations isolated and without access to critical information. The psychological impact of suddenly losing all modern conveniences and communication methods will create panic and social unrest on a scale never before experienced. Perhaps most frightening of all is how quickly such a disaster could unfold. Unlike hurricanes or earthquakes that provide some warning time, a massive coronal mass ejection from the sun travels through space at millions of miles per hour, giving Earth only 18 to 36 hours of advance notice. When solar particles collide with our planet's magnetic field, the effects are immediate and devastating. The August 2025 reports from NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center have been increasingly urgent, with forecasters issuing rare G4-level geomagnetic storm alerts that indicate severe space weather conditions. These warnings represent the second highest level on the geomagnetic storm scale, just one step below the catastrophic G5 level that could trigger widespread infrastructure collapse. Recent solar observations have detected coronal holes, areas where the sun's magnetic field opens up and allows high-speed solar wind to escape, that are larger and more persistent than anything seen in decades. These cosmic wounds in our star's surface are like cannons pointed directly at Earth, ready to fire devastating blasts of radiation and charged particles. The classified intelligence reports that have been leaked reveal that government emergency management agencies are quietly preparing for scenarios that would make the worst natural disasters in history look like minor inconveniences. Military installations worldwide have been instructed to prepare for extended periods of communication blackout and electronic systems failure. Strategic food reserves are being stockpiled in locations designed to survive electromagnetic pulse events. The most chilling aspect of these preparations is that they're being conducted in complete secrecy, with no public warnings or preparation guidance being provided to civilian populations. This suggests that authorities believe the threat is real and imminent, but they're concerned that public awareness could trigger panic and social collapse even before the solar disaster strikes. Emergency response protocols being developed include plans for martial law implementation, mass population relocations away from urban areas dependent on electrical systems, and the establishment of communication networks using equipment specifically Hardened against electromagnetic interference, the timeline for this potential solar apocalypse is becoming increasingly clear as scientists analyze the sun's current behavior patterns and magnetic field evolution. Solar maximum, the period when the sun reaches the peak of its activity cycle, is expected to continue through 2025 and possibly extend into 2026. During this critical window, the probability of a civilization-ending solar superstorm increases dramatically with each passing month. The sun's magnetic field is becoming increasingly twisted and unstable, creating conditions similar to those that preceded the most powerful solar events in recorded history. Recent measurements from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory show magnetic field configurations that match computer models of extreme space weather scenarios. The most dangerous period appears to be between now and early 2026, when multiple factors align to create what space weather experts call a perfect storm configuration. During this time frame, even moderate solar activity could trigger chain reactions that escalate into catastrophic events. The warning signs of an approaching solar apocalypse are already manifesting in ways that most people don't recognize or understand. Amateur radio operators worldwide have been reporting unusual propagation conditions and interference patterns that suggest the Earth's ionosphere is being affected by increasing solar radiation. Airline pilots flying polar routes have observed unusual aurora activity at altitudes and latitudes where such phenomena shouldn't occur under normal conditions. Satellite operators have documented increasing numbers of spacecraft anomalies and system failures that correlate with solar activity spikes. Even more disturbing are reports from sensitive individuals who claim to experience physical symptoms like headaches, sleep disturbances, and electrical sensitivity during periods of high solar activity. While these anecdotal reports aren't scientifically proven, they suggest that the electromagnetic environment around Earth is changing in subtle but measurable ways as our planet becomes increasingly exposed to solar radiation. For those who understand the gravity of this situation, preparation becomes not just advisable but essential for survival. The first step is creating an electromagnetic pulse-resistant communication and information storage system. This means having battery-powered or hand-cranked radios capable of receiving emergency broadcasts, storing important documents and contact information in physical format rather than relying on digital storage, and maintaining cash reserves since electronic banking systems would be unavailable during and after a major solar storm. Water storage becomes critical, as municipal water systems depend on electrical pumps and treatment facilities that would fail during extended power outages. Food supplies should include non-perishable items that don't require cooking or refrigeration, since electrical appliances and gas distribution systems could be compromised for months. Medical supplies and prescription medications need to be stockpiled, as hospitals and pharmacies would struggle to operate without reliable electrical power, and communication networks. The psychological preparation for a solar apocalypse scenario is perhaps even more important than the physical preparations. Modern society has become so dependent on instant communication, entertainment, and information access that the sudden loss of these systems will create profound psychological stress and disorientation. Building community connections and local support networks becomes essential, as neighbors and local communities would need to work together to survive and rebuild in the aftermath of such a disaster. Learning basic skills like first aid, food preservation, mechanical repair, and offline navigation could mean the difference between thriving and merely surviving during an extended period without modern technological conveniences. Mental resilience, training, stress management techniques, and maintaining physical fitness become crucial for coping with the challenges of life without the safety nets that modern civilization provides. The most terrifying aspect of this entire scenario is how little time may remain to prepare adequately. Solar activity cycles operate on their own timeline, completely indifferent to human plans, political considerations, or technological readiness. The sun doesn't negotiate, compromise, or provide extensions when it decides to unleash its full fury upon the solar system. Recent space weather models suggest that the probability of a major geomagnetic storm continues to increase with each passing day as solar maximum approaches its peak intensity. The magnetic field configurations observed on the sun's surface are becoming increasingly unstable, creating conditions that could trigger a cascade of eruptions without warning. When that moment arrives, and scientists agree it's a matter of when, not if, humanity will face its greatest test since the dawn of civilization. The question isn't whether we can prevent such an event, but whether we can survive it and rebuild something better from the ashes of our electromagnetic dependent world. The evidence is overwhelming, the timeline is accelerating, and the preparations are already underway in secret government facilities around the world. The solar apocalypse isn't a distant theoretical threat, it's a clear and present danger that could transform human civilization within a matter of hours. Those who recognize the signs and take action now may be among the survivors who help rebuild society after the great electromagnetic collapse. Those who dismiss these warnings as fear-mongering or conspiracy theories may find themselves completely unprepared when the sun finally unleashes its full wrath upon an unsuspecting world. The choice is yours, but time is running out faster than most people realize, and when the solar storm strikes, there will be no second chances for preparation.